What is going on, everybody, and welcome on into the video. We are currently looking at the stock market right now, but we have a major shift that I do want to talk about. Hopefully the audio is sounding all good. I wanted to stream this so that it stays up and you guys can come back to it, but it's something that's happening right now, so I wanted to kind of make this video. As you can probably see, I am not home mobile, so I'm kind of doing this on the move. But that said, we can still do this. So right now we are looking at a big shift in the market. Take a look across the board. Dow down 1.3. NASDAQ was green. Now it's down 0.26, at least when we're filming. And then the SPY, it's down here almost 1%, but it was down more earlier today. There's a big shift that we're seeing right now. Now, if we refresh this, take a look at this. We've been seeing this across the board. It's been happening. It's been what we've been always kind of noticing, right? More stocks hitting new lows compared to new highs. 500 stocks hitting new lows today. 51 hitting new highs. So major difference right there. And we can still see that below the 200 SMA, pretty big indicator for generally a decently strong market. Very strong over 50 SMA. We're seeing many stocks more than half below. Still more than half below the 200 SMA. So again, that's showing a little bit weaker sentiment, a little weaker what we're seeing right now, right in the market. But that said, there is something else that we need to dive into. And so what I want to do is I want to jump back over here and I wanted to pull up IWM. Take a look at this. This is the Russell. So as we just looked at SPY, SPY was down earlier today, or it is down currently today. It was down a lot more, but now it's down roughly the same amount that the Russell 2000 is up. And what I did want to point out is that the Russell, really quick, we can pull this up too, is comprised of a bunch of stocks, right? Now, it generally gives a better sentiment for small caps, but take a look at some of these stocks. The stock with the number one weight in the Russell is AMC, but that said, it's only a 0.45 percentage weight, so it really doesn't pull up. AMC can go up 100%. It's not going to pull up the Russell as much as you may think. So that said, this is really giving us a better signal for the stocks under the surface. For going back to FinViz, right? For these stocks that are below the 50 SMA, below the 200, right? We're getting a much better signal through IWM, through the Russell 2000, we're getting a much better signal, right, by following that index as to what's really going on in the market. And so we'd be talking about, even looking at the heat map here, I'm talking about, what, a lot of stocks under the surface have been down while the big names are up. Well, take a look at this. Today, it's the opposite. We are seeing a complete shift. And of course, right, quad witching today, we will see what happens going into next week. Next week should be very telling as we push into the end of the month, right? But look at this. A lot of the smaller names, look at the green. We're seeing a lot more green under the surface. And look at the big names that kind of make up and really kind of move the broader indices. Google's, Microsoft, Apple's, right? Big name stocks, they're down. Home Depot, Johnson & Johnson, some of these bigger name companies, they're down today. Whereas a lot of the underlying kind of stocks, the smaller cap stocks, are having great days. Let's look at some stocks across the board. I want to pull up AMC. Now, AMC, I'm definitely not a massive AMC bull by any means, but it's up 18%. It's having a killer day, and that's definitely helping small caps. It's helping sentiment, right? Still bullish on NVOS? Absolutely. It doesn't. My mindset on that one has not changed. Take a look at NVOS today. Let's pull this bad boy up. 131, not really doing too much. It's kind of just chilling where it's at. I have sales set for way higher on the way up in case we do see a move. Again, these low floats, they're going to move quick. One of those swings that I also been looking at was NSPR. Tons of cash. They're trading below cash value. They've gotten beaten down. Look at this stock today. Quick bounce, and all it was it looks like a couple buys, a couple market buys. Boom, slap this thing. Little volume push here in the morning. It went from hitting new lows, new 52-week lows at 311 to 375 in seconds. Literally, this is the type of moves that you can see, these massive quick rebounds on a lot of small caps. And I think we may potentially be underway, or this may be that first sign of this starting to happen. Even Penn, a stock has been getting absolutely crushed, up 5% today. Yeah, it was down early. Now it's up 5%. So across the board, DraftKings, look at this, up almost 7%. It was up over 7% at one point. And we still got time to go. These could rally into the close and be even stronger, right? So we're seeing a lot of this shift. And I think when this shift occurs, right, as we're seeing it start now, things could happen quick. It really doesn't take very much. You can go from this morning or in the morning hours, seeing, oh my, everything's down, depressed, this and that, to the afternoon, everything changes. And from everything being all good and dandy, it can go back the other way just as fast. So we're kind of right now, it seems like we're at a tipping point, and to some degree. We're at some kind of critical point. And I think what we've been kind of predicting and starting to say, okay, you know what, we're going to probably see some rotation out of the big drivers, the big names, and a more rotation to some of the small caps and some of the smaller names. But the more of the stocks, right? More stocks. There are a few stocks that control, right, the broader indices, ultimately, right? But in reality, there are so many more stocks that trade in the stock market, right? So the broader indices sometimes don't give us the best understanding for how the overall market's looking. And today is a perfect example of that, right? We're seeing a lot more stocks making some decent moves today under the surface, even though everything's down, right? That said, I also wanted to pull up the overall chart on IWM. Take a look at this. IWM, pulling this bad boy up. We broaden things out on this thing. And I want to go to the daily chart right here. Again, look at this. We've come back down to that 210 key level, right? Into this zone. 210 has been an area the past year that we have held up very, very nicely and bounced in a pretty dramatic fashion every time we hit that level, okay? Go back through 2021. If we zoom in here really quick, I'm just trying to make it a little bit bigger for us. Look at these times. Each of these times we dip down to 210 or below, look at the massive rebounds that we saw right after. And guess what happened again today? We saw a massive bounce. This thing hit new lows, hit 210.30, and then hit up to over 217. Now it's roughly 215, but it hit up to over 217 intraday. I mean, there's opportunity, some massive opportunity, playing it both ways, right? Playing these things up and down. This has been pretty incredible to see. Now, clearly on IWM, need to get up over 220 and then up towards that 225, 227. Those will be the next areas to watch as resistance if this move is sustained into next week. Think about crypto market bought the dip and it's still dipping. Personally, for me, I wouldn't be surprised. There's definitely a correlation across the board we're seeing with the stock market, right? SPY, kind of the overall sentiment there, and crypto. We are in a clear downtrend, though. There's just no doubt about it. Take a look at this. We're clearly in a downtrend over the past, looks like since November, right? But we're coming down to an interesting spot. So down here in the mid to low 40s was where we bounced last time, okay? We pushed up to hitting over 50K, pulled back, and then bounced. If we hold the low 40s, that's a good sign. If we can't hold that, we most certainly, in my opinion, or at least maybe for now, temporarily, have hit a short-term top, and maybe crypto kind of trades sideways or kind of slowly kind of bleeds out a little bit over the coming months. And if that's the case, that's the time to start picking it up. That's the time to start buying. Personally, that's what I'm going to be doing over the coming months. And really, I would hope for it to be a little bit of a longer lasting thing so that I can kind of start buying more dollar cost averaging into my crypto holdings longer term and set that up and set it aside for the next couple of years and not have to really worry about that and let that do its thing. That's kind of my take. Again, if it does break this downtrend, gets back up over 50K and starts pushing, great, right? Bitcoin is looking strong and we're going to probably make the next kind of surge up. Personally, though, with everyone kind of talking about, oh, this time of year is super strong, when everyone's one side, generally that doesn't happen. I've been seeing a lot of people these days talking about how they've switched over from stocks to crypto, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what's working for you, by all means, go ahead. But the problem is, I'm thinking that if we're seeing more people in that same mindset, thinking the same thing, it usually doesn't work out that way, right? When everyone's on one side of a trade, it generally doesn't work out as easy as you may think. So when everyone starts shifting from stocks to crypto, and everyone's like, screw stocks, which is kind of what we're seeing right now, wouldn't be surprised if this is the bottom on some of these small caps. This is the bottom, and now we have a great next couple of months, and then it's kind of the reverse on crypto. We'll see. There has been a correlation, though. When things are good in the stock market, things are generally good in the crypto market. So if stocks start going crazy again, we start seeing some small cap runners, then that may correlate very well with some of the small market cap kind of crypto coins as well. So we'll see. That's not it's not my specialty. I'm definitely doing some more research onto some smaller cap cryptos right now, but it's not something that I've been following like absolutely, like a hawk, right, as of late. Growth, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Let's look at QQQ. A lot of this stuff, here's the thing. Here's the reality behind a lot of the growth. A lot of the growth should have and needed to be pulled back to a pretty big degree. I mean, a lot of this stuff was super overvalued. And so a lot of stocks have now taken some pretty big haircuts, and now it's time to see how they handle these lows and how they handle a potential reversal from where they are right now. So QQQ is right in range at a support level that I think is pretty strong. I mean, right in here from the upper 370s to up into the mid 380s is a really strong area of support. So QQQ gets us back to the upside, back up over looks like 390 or so, then I'm feeling better. And then obviously over 400, and we're going back up to all-time highs, and we're very, very strong. The problem here is that, are we going to see that happen, or are we going to see the big names kind of drag the overall indices down? Well, maybe we see some of the smaller names pick things up. Well, maybe the market kind of chops around overall indices, QQQ, SPY, right? Maybe those kind of chop around the Dow, right? They chop around, but underneath the surface, right? The big names are kind of doing their thing, consolidating, come back to reality. Whereas the small names that gotten beaten down massively start coming back up and start kind of, closing that gap to kind of have more of a closer value standpoint, right? You're seeing a lot of small caps trading below cash, trading below revenue numbers, trading below crazy levels, right? To the point where it's like, wow, this makes no sense. And they're seeing a lot of big names that are trading way above those levels, way above, kind of those crazy valuations, right? And now that gap may start to close as we see a pullback in some of the bigger names. That's kind of what I'm expecting to see. That's what I'm hoping that thought process kind of makes sense and that kind of pans out. Again, doesn't mean that it has to perfectly, but that's the idea. CRO coin. I'm not gonna pull up a coin right now. Personally, I'm only using the Webull right here. So let's see. I love this little Friday tune. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it. I wanted to do this because I'm about to go on a hike, so I'm not going to be around for the end of the day. But I also am traveling right now, so I figured, might as well take advantage of this time. But it's also cool to see. Take a look at the overall indices right now. They're pulling back down, but look at this. NASDAQ down about 0.5%, SPY down 1%, Dow down 1.5%. But if we go back here, we go to our friends over at IWM. This is the big shift that I want to make sure people understand. It's up over 0.5%. We haven't seen that. We just have not seen that type of correlation, right? Where usually on days where the market's down, IWM is down huge, but it's not today. And so that's kind of the thing that's making me think, right? That's making me think. Take a look, VXX across the board. Take a look at volatility. I want to just pull this up so we get a better sense for kind of what's going on. Volatility is kind of pushing up. Key level on volatility on VXX is over 23. VXX over 23 kind of gets me a little, I won't say nervous, but it gets me a little on edge in terms of the market kind of pulling back a little more. But as long as VXX stays under 23, volatility isn't spiking to a big degree, and we can easily see a volatility melt back down into next week. This also being quad witching, it's something that a lot of people are always freaking out about. An easy day for people to kind of get fearful, and an easy day for a lot of stuff to kind of sell off early and then get bought back up. I'm noticing, though, across the board, we are certainly seeing some small caps getting some bids today. I haven't seen that in a while, right? People talk about bid lists, right? What does that mean? When there's literally no buyers and there's no bids on level 2. So for example, if I pull up a stock, let's pull up, I'll pull up OPTT. Not a current hold that I have, but it's a stock that I've been watching. Take a look at this. This has actually been kind of basing and having a nice past couple of days. Now, if you look at this, here's an example of kind of being bidless almost, right? Now, not to a huge degree, but if you look at the level 2 on the right-hand side, you'll notice that, look at the right side. This is the sellers. This is the ask. Big walls, right? More sellers than there are buyers, right? Relatively speaking. But OPTT is kind of building up some buyers now. In the past couple of days, it's kind of catching some bids. We've been seeing past couple of weeks that it was like this green side was just flat. There was nothing. There were no buyers down through whatever price point you want to look through. There was nothing. So all it takes is market sells, people panic selling, and the stocks keep coming down, right? So that kind of whole concept of being bidless, I've really got a better understanding for what that really means, seeing it happen across the board. But that's starting to change. I'm not noticing it as much here today, for example, right? Even NBEV, a stock that people have been talking about past couple of weeks, a couple times spiked up. Look at this stock, right? Look at some bids, right? We got a 22,000 bid here at 104. We got an 11,000 bid at 108. In terms of sellers, right, they're kind of evenly matched. So we're seeing some bids that are catching on some of these small caps that have been beaten down. NBEV, for example, was trading up almost near $2 a couple weeks ago. Now we hit $1, right? So you're seeing this change, you're seeing this shift, and it seems like, right, this could be that sign that things are starting to reverse. Also, right, tax loss harvesting, we're getting towards the end of that period. Historically, some of the best times to buy the small caps, biotech stocks, for example, are after December 15th. That's generally speaking historically. A lot of the times you see the bottoms come in. XBI is also is the biotech ETF. This is huge. Look at this reversal. We're seeing XBI gets up over 117, and I'm getting interested. Up over 120, we're really starting. The party starts to start right there, right? That's going to be key. Over 120, that's resistance. Because that was prior support on XBI. But this is something to watch too. If you like biotechs, generally some of the most volatile stocks in the market now, they can make you a ton of money. They can also lose you a ton of money with offerings, just crazy moves up and down. But look at the biotech ETF. Look at the volume, right? As it's sold off, the past couple of weeks, it's kind of trying to chop around. The volume has been increasing substantially, right, into December. So this could be getting loaded up for a potential really nice reversal into the coming months. Again, look at this ETF. This has been, again, downtrending and sitting still, just slowly kind of ticking down. And the past couple of weeks, pulling back even harder, really the entire year. This peaked out early this year when a lot of stocks did in February, and it's been getting killed. Now it's coming down to a level much more reasonable, and now we can start to see some good bounces. I'm not expecting a lot of these stocks, or even XBI, right, to go back to the highs. No. But if XBI goes from where it's at right now to 130s, 140s, which gets you back up into this range, that's going to send tons and tons of biotechs. That's going to be great for the sector sentiment. That's going to be great for small caps, and it's going to change a lot of things. A lot of stocks will bounce beautifully off bottoms. They may come right back down, but they'll give us some really good relief plays and some really nice plays or nice action off the bounces. So that's what we're watching right there. That's what we're kind of looking at as we speak right now. Let me look at some of the comments. And then I got to run out soon. Okay, let's see. Let's see. That's the other thing too. Nothing against, the we've been seeing, hey, across the board, NFL, we're seeing tons of players right now. They're not playing because of, they got COVID or whatever. We're seeing colleges shutting down, college basketball games canceled because of COVID, right? So I understand, right, that there's protocols to follow and stuff, but the fear is definitely elevated as well. So time the volatility in the market, add in some fear of the variant, add in all that stuff, and you kind of have a perfect recipe for people panic selling, people just seeing new bottoms and stocks hitting new lows, maybe institutions buying, catching some good deals, and then all of a sudden things shake out. All of a sudden next year, everyone's looking back like, wait, what are we doing? And all of a sudden cases are going down, we're back on the ups, it starts to get into the springtime, and everyone's like, wait a second, why do we just panic sell? Everything's back to normal. Boom. Another thing I also want to pull up too is jets. Guys, I was just flying yesterday, so I can kind of get a first-hand view of what's happening. Packed. Airports are packed, just absolutely packed. Jets today, let's take a look at the daily chart here, bottoming out. So jets we have a kind of a double bottom setting up here on jets here in the mid-19s, back up over $20. So jets, this is kind of taking advantage of what we kind of see across the board for the airline sector. Now, I was reading some articles and I saw some stuff about what's going on. Now, we have demand flying back up for flights, airlines, all that stuff, right? But a lot of these companies, they can't handle it for the holidays too. They just can't handle it, whether they don't have enough workers, this and that. They haven't been able to bring themselves back up to handle that capacity. But again, the demand is there. So yeah, in the short term, is that rocky? Is that kind of a concern for the airlines? Yes, right? If they've got to cancel flights, if you can't get to your flight because all of a sudden now there's a delay and this and everything messes things up. Yeah, that's a concern, and that does scare me in terms of the short term for the airlines. But what is going to happen as they start realizing that, hey, we have this demand, we got to pick it up, we got to hire more people, we got to get more flights out, and guess what? All of a sudden, that travel boom we've been talking about for months, that travel boom in 2022, boom, COVID fears come back down, boom, airline, it's all setting up. And so I absolutely love this play as a bottom play. Jets, pick any airline you like that you have at least some experience with. Like, pick the ones that you use the most and play those, or just play the Jets ETF. You'll cover all the bases right there. And I think this is setting up for an amazing rebound into next year. Give it time. You got to give it time. But come spring and summer, I think this should be sitting back up towards its highs from 2021. If not, potentially even higher. We'll see how things play out there. So that's also kind of another aspect, at least to think about. Let's see, BLPH trying to come back up. I'll take a look at some of these stocks, and then I got to run out. BLPH. Look at that. This had a nice little pop today. It's trying to hold up. Let's see. A lot of these stocks, the thing is, they gotten killed. Now the question is going to be, as they pop off bottoms, can they hold and then push? So like KXIM was one yesterday. Let's take a look at this one. KXIN is a good example. My key level on this thing was 150. What's it doing, guys? If this thing holds up again, right, even though it's up like 25% off the bottom, right, even more actually, if this holds 150s, this could be setting up for the kind of the next leg of the squeeze, which may go to $2. So that's kind of what we have to watch on some of these stocks that get these kind of elevations off the bottom. Now, as they pull back, do they hold a higher low or a substantially higher low? And if they do, what's it doing for shorts? Well, all of a sudden, shorts may be in this saying, hey, it's not dropping, I'm going to cover. That adds some buying pressure. All of a sudden, people start catching this on the scanners. Next thing you know, these things are hitting new highs and they're going up, double, right, what they were just up, right? So a lot of these bottom bouncers are something that I'm watching for sure. Now, also, let's take a look at this thing. How is this guy doing right here? Vect, again, this thing had a 10-share order go through in pre-market that went down to 279. It's one of those stocks that I like, and I'm playing this thing for a little bit of a little move off the bottom, and it's been holding up quite well with the recent sell-off in small caps. So we'll see how this one plays out as well. Weak hands are shaking out, I think, for sure. I mean, it's what you needed to do. At the end of the day, a lot of people are kind of leaving. A lot of people are getting to that point of like, oh my gosh. And so a lot of weak hands are getting shaken out. Yeah, of course, the Webull portfolio we talk about here all the time, it's a high-risk, high-reward portfolio. So in times like this, we're holding swings, yeah, it's going to get hit. Not to mention my larger positions, I think my two biggest positions also happen to be tied up in the airlines, which their call's out for over a year from now. But at the same time, airlines are at their lows. They're literally sitting at their 52-week lows or relatively close to that level. They're bouncing a little bit now. But again, right, when we get the rebound mid next year, then those options could go 100%, right? So that completely kind of changes things. Now, you may be down temporarily on the options, but if the thesis hasn't changed, which by no means has my thesis changed there, why are you going to sell at the bottom, right? Absolutely stupid. And people do that because they don't have the patience to hold through for the bigger move, for their thesis, for their convictions to play out. So that's what we'll see. Hood's a steal at 17. I agree with you there. I personally don't like Robinhood either, right? But Robinhood down here when it hit 17 today, I mean, come on. It's worth something. This could be even worth just grabbing some calls out to next year. Robinhood comes in with some more crypto updates. Robinhood comes in and all of a sudden this stock is back up at 25, 30 bucks. Just like that, that's a solid 50% move that you can capitalize on. As much as I don't like Robinhood like the next guy, I still have an account. I use it here and there. I have some money in there that I'm messing around with. And you know what? For most people, for most new people who are new to investing and trading, this is where you go. This is where you start. And honestly, it's getting down to a point under 20 bucks where I can't argue against buying it, right? So, are you an AYR? Personally, I'm not. It's been on my list though. I was in it. I got out of it because we just saw the sentiment kind of just go out the window for small caps. This is one that, again, I think they have, where the market cap right now on this thing has got to be tiny. We got to be talking about a stock that's now trading below cash value. I think they have a meeting coming up very, very soon. This is a stock that I think can make a massive, massive bounce. I mean, 100% bounce for a couple of days is not out of the question. The problem is I want to see some more follow through before I get in. So my whole thing is that I have my high convictions and then I branch out from that when things are hot. When things are not hot, I kind of consolidate back into the high convictions, and that's where the money stays. Now, when one of the high convictions goes, we get a spike, we get the news I'm looking for, we get a run, then I have the capital to roll back into averaging down or adding to other positions that I like, and then I have some more capital to start a new position. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I really am just waiting on my highest convictions to hit, and then I'll look to stocks like this. I still think it's a great deal down here for a spike. Again, not going to hold it long term, but it's for a spike. Playing for a quick rebound, playing for that quick spike, getting your 25%, getting your 50%, and getting out. That's the name of the game, at least how I trade small caps or swing small caps. And so I certainly like that down here. ARDX, let's take a look at that. Look at this thing. Popped up, now it's back down, 125. Look at this, volume has really come back. But see, this is another example. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit better. It's a perfect example. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. If this can hold up over $1, right, you're seeing a bottom bounce to 2. Now it holds 1, it builds a higher low. This can be back at 150 just like that, right? So these are kind of the setups that we're going to start to see more and more of, especially right as things, if and when things heat back up. It's a matter of when, honestly. I think it's happening right now as we speak, but it's not necessarily a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because when the institutions are like, okay, there's no more money to be made on the large caps, will come to small caps. Doesn't matter, bear market, bull market, they'll rotate, and wherever that money goes is where it's going to be hot, right? And it's going to be hot for a longer period of time, not just a week or two. It's going to be months, as we've been seeing with large caps the past couple of months compared to small caps, right? Do you hold through the pain or sell? Personally, with long-term plays, longer-term holds, I generally will hold through. Sometimes, if I can be a little more nimble, it's something that I can always work on, right? But personally, a lot of the time, I'm just going to hold through and average in. I'm not going to add in my entire full position right away. I'll wait, I'll hold it, and I'll say, hey, if it goes lower, I'll just buy a little more. If I still have a longer-term thesis on it that I still believe is intact, right? So that's the plan there. ESGC. This thing is down here at 20-something cents. The risk here, right, I don't know anything about them, but this is the risk, is you kind of have probably reverse stock split risk or something like that at some point. But this has also been bottomed out. Another one I like a lot is SONN, S-O-N-N. Take a look at this stock. It's at 50 cents. I actually started buying some this week. I want to buy more. But take a look at this. This thing has been getting destroyed, right, the past couple of months. It's actually up, it's about even today. They just got, flushed out again this morning. I'm looking to buy more of that. It's not a huge position by any means, but it's something that I want to buy more of because they have some catalysts. Look at these spikes. There's a very high probability this thing gets back up to that 75 and even $1 range because they have some end of the year catalysts that are still intact. They've got a lot. So SONN's one of those that I've actually started to add into now. Ideally, we get the nice move on this thing and I rotate some of that money into other plays and find some new stuff from there. So that's what I like. That's another one kind of before tomorrow's video that I'll at least mention now. And here we go, IWM. I missed out. What I wanted to do is I have a call out to 2023. I have a 230 call. What I wanted to do on IWM personally is I wanted to actually add this thing on a flush under 210. I was like, hey, IWM flush under 210, there'll be panic, there'll be fear, blood in the streets. And that's when I wanted to buy it on a call to kind of average down in a sense, even though I have plenty of time. Over a year on those. Didn't get that opportunity today. But now look at this, IWM up 1%. So across the board, as we wrap things up, here's how the market's kind of shaping up, kind of curling back up. S&P down a 3/4. NASDAQ almost green, so some relief there after yesterday's dump. Dow down 1.26, right? But small caps up 1% for now. That's what we're looking at. There you guys have it. Hopefully that was helpful. I didn't expect to do a live either today, but I decided to do one because I figured why not? We got some crazy action. I'm noticing some stuff right now live as it's happening, and I figured I want to at least mention it, talk about it, but I'm going to wrap things up here. This live will stay up, so go back through if you guys want to see what I mentioned at the beginning, that shift, those clear signs that we're seeing for that big shift right now, that big shift into small caps for today, and the continuation to next week is the key. Do we get that continuation or not? If we don't, then this could be kind of one of those little dead cat bounces, or to some degree, this could be one of those fake outs, right? So we'll see how that plays out. I appreciate you guys, like always. Hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Tomorrow, I'll be updating the entire portfolio. We'll see how it did this past week. Very nice rebound, at least today, but was it green of the week? Was it not? I'm playing some more options for like some short-term trades here and there, but for the most part, right, we're still holding the long-term, positions or small caps, the airlines, all that good stuff. No reason to panic sell at the bottom, right? Thanks so much, guys. Thumbs up button, and I will see you in a future video.